Let's talk about that game. Fred de Jong on your platform. A former all-white man synonymous with New Zealand football and has held every single post in the international administration of the game apart from Sepp Blatter's, but I think you carried his bag for a time, Fred de Jong, didn't you?
Settle down, mate. Settle down.
Hey, look, I'm wrapped after that second half. First half, I was tweeting, God, we were poor on the ball. We didn't want the ball. We looked lethargic. We were walking. We just had no ideas at all. Well, we come out at half-time, Fred, and that's the best 45 minutes I've seen the All Whites play, certainly under Darren Baisley.
Yeah, I thought the second half was much more promising. As you say, for 20 minutes we were under the cosh. The Irish were beating us convincingly down the wings, especially down their left-hand side, our right flank. And but we conceded a very, very soft goal. And then I think towards the back end of the first half and pretty much the whole second half, very, very open game. And I think when games are like that, we've got players that can fill the space and do some quite good things. And we saw tonight Sarpreet Singh showing what he can do when he gets a bit of time and space on the ball.
Yeah, I don't know what the rankings are or how far they're ahead of us or whatever, or whether that's relevant or not. I mean, it's 11 versus 11 when you get on the field. Their team, just in terms of their A team, I mean, obviously they'd rested some players after losing to Holland on the weekend.
Yeah, of course, mate. I mean, the Dutch just pulverised them for a 1-0 submission.
Yes, they did.
But, I mean, this Irish side their track record over the past 2 years has been incredibly poor. The only teams they've beaten in Euro qualifying are Gibraltar. And so they've lost twice to France, lost twice to Holland, lost twice to Greece. I think Stephen Kenny is probably not a man who's going to be in the job for much longer. And you can sort of see he's tried to instill like an expansive sort of game where they're trying to pass through the opposition and for 20 minutes at the start of the game, they looked sharp and they looked like they could do it. But as soon as New Zealand started pressing them and then winning the ball in the middle of the park, they looked very, very average. And I think, I think New Zealand did really well to adjust to that. And then the second half was good. And it was just unfortunate we couldn't put away a couple of good chances that we had to close out a victory. But all in all, I think some lessons up front in the first part of the game defensively, I think one of the key things for New Zealand going forward is you've got to get Sarpreet, I think, in the middle of the park where he's way more influential. And does that mean we play with two holding midfielders and him playing in behind? Because I think at the moment he plays wide and he gets isolated sometimes. But I think that of the match, I think that's probably one of the takeouts where you'd look, if you were being sort of rather critical, I think that's one of the things you'd look at and go, can we do better in that regard?
Yeah, him and Kakachi. I mean, there just seemed to be an athleticism about the two of them, especially in the second half, which, I don't know, they just look better than the rest of the New Zealand players. And it's always difficult, Fred, isn't it? Because, how many minutes are these guys getting? What clubs are they playing for? What is the standard and everything? And then getting them together. I know that, there's no excuse making, but it's never an easy task getting our players together. So it looked to me that maybe if we'd had more of a gallop, I don't know, the game against Greece, maybe another couple of games, just the potential of what we could be seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it's international football, though, isn't it? It's you come together and that's the gig. You've got to gel a team quickly, and you've got 2 games in every window, and so you need to maximise the opportunity for the players. So that's why probably you don't see as many subs tonight, trying to give players a chance to play more and more together. But yeah, I think from the All White side of things, it was lovely to score a goal as well, an open play goal, because that was, we haven't scored goals, and through that first half, we didn't really look like we were going to threaten that much because we were doing a lot of defending. But lovely to score a goal from open play. So ticking quite a few boxes this evening. And it'll be interesting to see which games the New Zealand football can get for the All Whites going forward.
Well, this is all part of the problem as well, isn't it? Because then when it comes to Oceania, Fred, we're expected to walk that tournament. And I know that's no disrespect to those other nations, and we will. We'll beat Fiji 3-1. We might struggle against one of the teams and scuff out a 2. But it's inevitable, isn't it? But it just doesn't, it's not providing whatever we need. And that question is always remaining. How do we continue to get quality competition and regular?
Well, I mean... Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we won the Nations Cup final 5-0 last time, so we'll qualify for the World Cup. There's no doubt about that. It's actually, I mean, for New Zealand, it's different. It's very similar. You beat Oceania, but this time you go to the World Cup. I think now it's so disappointing when given they've expanded the World Cup to 48 teams. Like the other day. Argentina lost to Uruguay. And normally that would be, Argentina, maybe struggling a little bit in qualifying. But now it's like 7 of 9 teams in South America go to the World Cup. So many teams are going that qualification for the tournament is irrelevant, basically, right around the world. And so I find that to me is a real negative for the expansion of the World Cup. Ultimately, New Zealand's got to get out of Oceania. Ultimately, there's no appetite for that at the moment. But you can see Australia have gone on leaps and bounds because every game they play is competitive. So if New Zealand really if they're really serious about improving, you've got to get it. We have to get out of Oceania.
Or actually dismantle that and incorporate it into Asia and make the Asian Confederation absolutely. 3 different divisions or something like that. Fred de Jong is with us, the former All White. A couple more questions about this Ireland game and then we'll move on to the Black Knights, which are going to be the new Auckland franchise. I'm not so sure about that name. But, I feel encouraged because after that first half, I felt we were sloppy on the ball, as I said, and conceded a bad goal. And sometimes you get too clever in defence where, I think it was Joe Bell passed him a terrible ball, but just welly it away. I mean, it's not a confusing game, is it, Fred? When you played as well, I know that you never kicked the ball. It was always off your head and things, but sometimes it can be a simple game, isn't it? When you're in defence, just get rid of the bloody ball sometimes.
No, Martin, no, not these days, man. You want to try and play.
Right. That's right.
God, man. Otherwise we're back to the dark ages. It's like, at least, I mean, that's the thing. You got to try and play. You got to decide what sort of football we're gonna stand for. And I think that's something that the coaching staff have to. You saw a bit of it today because we were pressing high up the park. We're trying to press high, win the ball a couple of times, and even in the first half, we won the ball high up the park. And then we were, you're looking sort of promising because you're just in and around the penalty area. So you can see the intent to press high. But as far as the goal's concerned, it was just sloppy play from Nando, caught on the ball. I mean, that's the difference between playing international football and then playing, for the Irish in a lower level Irish club side. He just gets caught out and costs us a goal, and that's a really poor goal to concede. I think that's what brand of football are we going to see from this Darren Baisley's side? I think we saw snippets of it this evening, and especially in the second half, and it was they look good. Yeah.
All right, the A-League franchise in Auckland. We've tried this a couple of times before, mate, and I remember you scoring goals for the Football Kings when you were playing, and it was glorious. We started off with 14 or 15,000 there, but then the crowds kind of dwindled, and that's my biggest fear, Fred, is that there'll be a lot of excitement and interest, and Mount Smart will get a great crowd for the first couple of matches, and then, in 6 months' time, is it going to be like the Phoenix in Wellington where they struggle to get 5,000 or 6,000, and then Can New Zealand sustain this? Financially, at least we can, because Bill Foley's got buckets of money, and that's not a concern. So I suppose that's a good box to tick to start with. Absolutely.
And I think that is the difference. You've got a guy who's supposedly worth $2.5 billion New Zealand dollars. How much of that is he going to throw at this franchise? Not sure. That's obviously that remains to be seen. But he's very bullish. He was very bullish at that function last night. Where he had a Q&A, and he says, we're going to win. We're here to win the league. He says, I'll tell you in 12 months how long it's going to take us to win the league. And he did it with the Las Vegas Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
And that, I mean, if you think about difficult competitions to win, the Stanley Cup would be right up there in American sport.
Yeah. It was amazing that aside from Vegas, I mean, just an expansion side. I mean, like they actually made the finals, I think, in their first or second year, Fred, which was extraordinary, and then going on from there to win it. And that alone means that he earns hundreds of millions a year off that win. So that's why, he can bankroll this.
Absolutely, and that was as you say, an expansion franchise, new franchise built from scratch. So he's doing that here again, and so done it once. We're hoping, obviously, for Auckland's sake, he can do it again. But yeah, very, very bullish about how he wants, what he's going to do. He's going to shake up the league, and I think that's hopefully for. Personally, that's what I want to see. I want to see something different. You want to see. I hope, that either the coach or the front person for the franchise is as bullish as the owner, and isn't we're going to take every game as it comes, and we're going to do our best, and we're hoping to make the playoffs, and be different, be Auckland, be different, be a point of difference, and make it a spectacle, make it something that people want to go and watch. But ultimately, you got to win, and I think he knows that, and I think that was pleasing to hear last night.
What about the name, mate? Are you convinced? Black Knights?
Own it, man. It was poor the first time round. Prove that it can be good the second time round.
The Black Knight Kings. The Kingsy Black Knights. No?
Black Knights with a
Z. Look forward to it. Thank you, Fred.
Awesome, mate.
Devlin.
You've got to love sport.
The Platform.